Music is a vehicle that can take you anywhere you want to go, anytime you want to be there. No matter what you do, why you do it, who you choose to do it with or for, music will ensure that the moment is always just right. The saxophone is the luxury sports model of all vehicles that insists that you experience the ultimate groove that sets the mood for whatever you choose. Mighty Horn Music presents the COVID Concert Series with Savages. Live from the Hollywood Home Studio. Smooth jazz, top 40, R&B, inspirationals, and more. Thank you for tuning in. You are now on a musical first-class journey to anywhere you want to be. Mighty Horn Music is live from another room in the Hollywood Home Studio. Here's hoping you are having a great week and a great Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Travis Bridges, and this is another edition of Swym Pwym. It's the acronym for Say What You Mean and Play What You Mean. It is a spinoff of my Sunday night COVID concert series that's a little bit on hiatus right now for just a little while, but I promise you, if you are a part of my team, I will be back soon, and it's going to be one of those Sunday nights that I'm just going to be there in a whole new location. So thank you so much for staying faithful and being a friend of mine and a subscriber. We're going to get it going. I have 3 guests lined up, and we're going to talk tonight about talking. Swym Pwym, this portion, again, is about talking. And I like talking about talking because I am convinced that there is no reason that any misunderstanding, any disagreement should not be able to be resolved if we are willing to communicate and if we're willing to be accepting of what is, minus how we feel, what we believe, what we think, and our ego, including mine. So when I say our, I don't just mean to be talking about people. So that's what this is about, and until I am led in a different direction, I'm going to show up, and that's just going to be how I live, believing that communication is important and we should be able to talk. It's hard to talk when you're emotionally charged. Sometimes if you're emotionally charged and you're angry, sometimes it is good to walk away. The National Rifle Association calls it the cooling off period, where if you're kind of heated and you need to just kind of take a break for a little while until you can get your scruples about yourself before we do or say something crazy. But if we begin to practice paying attention, to what we are saying, how we're saying it, what we mean when we say it, what a person could be interpreting, we can do a whole lot better in resolving conflict. Now, keep in mind, if there is no conflict and 2 people are agreeing and they're walking together, then so be it. Then enjoy your life or enjoy your relationship or whatever it is. But the moment there is some kind of disagreement, there is a format, there's a pattern that we can follow that I believe will result in a peaceful settlement between 2 or more people. And that's what we're going to talk about. And I want to say hello to Tony Morrow, who is with me tonight. Tony, how you doing, buddy? I've got 7 other people with me, and they're not logged in or logged on, and that's okay. I like it like that because that relieves some pressure. I have 2 other guests and a kind of sort of surprise guest that I'm going to save sort of kind of for last. So what I'm going to do is get my first caller on, and we're going to talk about talking. And if by chance you have a subject you'd like for me to address, I would love to analyze it and give my thoughts, views, and comments about it. Or if you'd like to talk to me about whatever that subject is, feel free to send me an email to travisbridges2@aol.com. That's Travis Bridges and the number 2 at aol.com. I put in the subject, call me/talk to me, and in the body of that email, just put your phone number and a description of what you'd like to share or discuss, and I will gladly review it and call you back and either have you on my live stream and or just just talk about whatever it is whatever scenario you give me. But with that being said, I'm just going to go to my trusty line system here and chat with my buddy.
Hello.
Hey, you.
Hey, what's up?
It's all good. No complaints on this end here. How's your day going?
It's going.
I know that you have limited time. You've already warned me of that, so I'm not going to keep you long. But I want to talk to you about what I'm going to share with my other guests, unless they have something interesting, and I'm okay with that. As you know, this is the beginning of my live stream, Swym Pwym, and I have all intentions of beefing it up and making it real hot. When I first started with my music live stream, it was just me in front of the camera. But then I got an intro and I got some little public service stuff and was about to get some sponsors until things picked up, and they still have picked up, and I'm excited about some of the engagements that I'm getting, and it is keeping me, yeah, it is. So what I'm going to talk about is if there's anything you can tell me, why should conflict not be resolved between two or more people? I am convinced that if we communicate first and we're accepting of truth based on facts, that there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to resolve most of the conflict. I would like to hear from you, though. What are some of the reasons you can think of that people do walk away upset or mad, or that there are wars and people not getting along? Why do you think that happens?
One thing is, I feel that the truth hurts, and sometimes when things are brought to light, or if that person is I'm right, you're wrong, or they just can't seem to agree. And I think it has a lot to do with maturity as well. So you have to be mindful of the mature level of the person you having a disagreement with, or people just sometimes it's just, okay, we've outgrown each other and let's move on, or they just don't know how to forgive or how to just say, okay, we could agree to disagree. Some people just, this is how I am, this is how I was raised, this is how it is, and they can't change from that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if I missed that. You think the primary reason there is no resolve in conflict is what? The one thing?
Please, say that again.
No, I'm trying to understand. I heard everything you said, but I'm trying to understand what it is that you think the number one reason we don't reach resolve when there's disagreement or conflict. What is the primary reason?
Well, it's because if some people just don't want to admit that they're wrong, or accept that they're wrong, or accept that you're not accepting what I'm saying, and they just say, forget it, I just won't do it anymore.
Okay, well, I guess that's where I would insert my opinion here. When you use the word wrong, right, good or bad, it's very subjective. So when you say someone may be wrong or right, that's where you start an argument. I think there are basic principles. I call them universal principles. There are also points of references, and there are laws that may or may not be wrong or right based on your opinion or your feeling about them, but they're already set in place, and we are to govern ourselves by those laws, rules, and universal principles. So when you use the term right or wrong, then there you go with the argument that's guaranteed. I think resolving that disagreement involves running it through the filters of universal principles, points of references, and laws. So can you say that again without using the term right or wrong? And if you can't, that's okay. I just kind of want you to filter that again. What are the reasons we don't resolve, or people don't resolve?
Because they may not accept the outcome.
Okay, not being accepting. Okay, well, that's one of the things that I stress and I want to bring more awareness to, being accepting of what is.
Right.
So I guess if I had an outline or a format of something, it would have, 1, 2, and 3, and then it would have 1A, 1B and then 2A, and then it would kind of do exactly what you said. And
Yeah.
again, that's a good point to note that resolve isn't reached when people are not accepting of what it boils down to.
Right.
So it's like I'm going to do a little silly example. I remember one time I made some cabbage, and I filled up a pot real high, and I was mashing word mash. I was pressing, I was pressing the top on it, and I put the water in it. And my sister told me, "Don't put too much water in it because it's gonna boil down." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay." So I put the water in, and a few minutes later, I came back, and it boiled down to where it was like a little less than half the pot. And I was like, "Well, what happened?" Well, what happened was it went through the process of universal principles, points of references, and laws, and it did its thing. And I had a choice at that time. I could say, okay, that's what happens to my cabbage, and I'm going to eat it and enjoy it. Or I can be mad that it's not as full as I thought it should be because it was, that's what I put in there. So I guess I appreciate your response. I'm not going to hold you long unless you have something to say, because I do have more callers I'm going to get to. So thank you for your input, and that is one of the reasons we don't. And I think we're going to try to bring more attention to how to be accepting of something, even if you don't like it. So thank you again for that. You have anything
No,
to
it's
say?
just like I said. Sometimes it's the maturity level to help that person understand or accept the outcome of the situation.
Right. So then I guess one more thing. I have one. What would you think would be information advice? How would you advise someone to to be accepting of what is? What steps can we put in place to say, okay, well, this is how you be accepting of what you don't like?
First of all, you
Other
just have
than
to
hold on, other than as my mother would say, go on in there and sit down somewhere before I give you something to cry about. So other than that, how can we talk to adults who are just not settled with what is to be accepting of what is?
Life is too short to stress over things you have no control over.
I think I'm gonna put a nail in that right there and leave it right there. I like that, and I again thank you for your time, and you've been faithful to me. I'm gonna send you a donation one day.
Okay.
I don't
We
know.
take
I don't.
billions of dollars.
I know. I didn't say when, but I'm gonna.
I
You
mean,
know.
one day, right?
Yeah, one day. Maybe we can
When you
sit
least
down and.
expect it.
Yeah, when you least expect it. When you're not looking for it, that's when it shows up.
Exactly.
Anyway, you have a good night. Thank you so much.
All right. You too.
All
Good
right.
night, listeners.
Good night. Okay. So, as she was saying, one of the reasons she think that resolve is not met when there's conflict or disagreement is because many of us are not accepting of either truth or facts, and it's hard to not be accepting of that. You might need to put your emotions in check or your ego in check, however you want to say it. We might just need to have a meeting with ourselves, and maybe I can find a way to come up with 12-step program of how to accept what is, even when you don't like it. Order now, and we'll throw in a can of or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to get to my next caller, and we'll see how that works out. By chance, again, this is Swym, Pwym, the acronym for Say What You Mean and Play What You Mean. It's a spinoff to my Sunday night COVID concert series that is a little bit on hiatus. I promise you I will be back like a new jack soon on Sunday nights. But until then, I'm going to keep it rolling right here from another room in the Hollywood home studio. And we will be discussing ways on how to reach resolves. I'm going to say hello again to Anthony Morrow. Kimberly Covington is always faithful. Thank you guys so much. Carolyn Ellaby is in the house. Hey, Carolyn. And Moments of Motivation with Michelle is in the house. So thank you. Resolve is not met because we don't accept the outcome of what is. That's what my other caller just said, and clearly you agree with it. So thank you for throwing that little 2 cents in. Now I'm going to go to my other caller, and we're going to have some fun, hopefully. So thank you for participating.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, Travis.
How are you?
I'm great, and you?
Not bad at all. I hope you were listening to the opening of my live stream and got a little peek. If not, I'll be glad to revamp for you.
I got a little peek.
Okay, so to recap anyway, we're just looking at reasons why we don't reach resolve when there's conflict, whether it's a husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, neighbors, people at work. And I'm going to go so far as to say worlds, country, world leaders sometimes don't reach resolve. And that's why we have wars. And that's why we have, because, you know, lack of communication. Hey, Linda Chambers, how you doing? Back at you. So, what is your thought on why we don't reach resolve in disputes or disagreements?
Well, listening to what the last caller was saying, and based on what she was saying, it was all about maturity and understanding what the cause is, what's the problem. And I feel that the two, if you come together in some form of understanding of what we all facing and what we're dealing with on the day-to-day, even throughout our countries, we're battling back and forth over issues. Sometimes we also don't understand what those issues are because too many, as they say, peas are in the pot and crabs are in the pot. Nobody's understanding. Everybody has their own interpretation of what it should be. But when you both come together, it's okay to disagree. We can agree, disagree. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to do those things. But yet, at the same time, don't leave the table without some resolution and some form of understanding.
I just heard you say something. You just said it's okay to agree to disagree, and maybe we can hang out there for a few minutes. For some reason, that doesn't settle well with me because it's an oxymoron. You can't agree to disagree, I don't think. And if you can show me how, I'm open to hear. But you either agree or not agree. But to agree to disagree is kind of hard for me to digest.
Like you have to pick and choose your battles. What is the cause? What's the effect? It's just like you stated earlier. If you're going out here, we're fussing over the trash can and everything. The trash can is overflowing. It's overflowing, and as it begins to overflow, someone's going to get upset. So the cause of the trash can overflowing, we have a problem. So the other person is complaining about the trash overflowing, but the other person doesn't have a problem with the trash overflowing. So the fact is, the trash is overflowing. But I'm saying, and all that's being said, if I have a problem with it, let me go ahead and handle the situation. Let me go ahead and dump the trash, take the trash out to bring some sense of balance, some form of peace. Because everything doesn't have to be about battling back and forth and conflict. Some things you just know to do. Some things you should just know to do. If you know you've hurted someone and hurt that person's feeling, if that person has a willing heart, a willing listening ear to receive your apology, to know that you're empathetic, to know that you're concerned and care about their particular emotion and feeling at that particular time, just try to reason. Let's try to bring some type of closure to what ails us.
I think what you may be saying is when you don't agree, at least run whatever the issue is through those filters of principles,
Yes.
universal principles, points of references, and or laws. So I think is that what you're saying?
Yes,
The trash is
that
supposed to.
sounds great.
What is the rule? Let's just say let's put a scenario on the table. Two neighbors are complaining about one of the neighbors' trash, and then one neighbor says something, and the other neighbor says, "Well, don't worry about it. It's my trash," and they never pick it up. At some point in time, maybe they should sit down and have a cup of coffee and say, "Okay, well, we do want to have a clean neighborhood, and we want to keep, the walkway and the alleyway or whatnot clean. So, the point of reference or would be, okay, we're supposed to pick up. You can get a fine for littering and not being tidy. You can be cited for that from the city for causing, I think it's called blathering or something like that, when you're having an issue, if your neighbors are complaining. So if you can go next door or down the street or wherever you need to go, and you say, okay, well, listen, I know maybe I was not nice in how I responded to you, but let's kind of run this through, what we're supposed to do according to, the guidelines of the city. We're not supposed to have eyesores in our yard or on our street. And, your trash has been running over. If you need some help, let me know. By the way, use the other neighbor's trash cans. They don't mind. So when you try to resolve it that way, you can't. It's hard to deny the truth unless you are, unless something's wrong, and then I guess that'll be the end result. If you go through all the filters and then there's still a problem, then you have to bring in the professional to say, okay, well, this person may not be mentally competent to go through this process. So yeah.
That's good. I have someone here that's willing to speak to you as well.
I heard you had a special guest for me to chat with. We have at least 10 or 12 minutes, and that's pretty good time, and we can stretch that a little bit. But you want to tell me who you have, or you just want me to be surprised?
Okay.
No. Wait, hold on. We're not going to say names. I'll know the voice if it's who I think it is. Okay. So you're going to put them on now?
Yes, they're here right now.
Okay.
Okay. Say hello, ma'am. Hello, Travis.
Hey, I know this voice. How are you?
You do know my voice, don't you?
Yeah. Listen, now, I listened to your friend's voice, and, she's kind of straight ahead. And I listened to your voice, and right away, me being a voice technician, I can tell you've got that smooth thing going on, like maybe
it's deep and raspy.
Yeah. It's like, what is it that you're really trying to say?
Right.
Anyway, how's your day going? What's going on? What do you have to say about, the subject / topic tonight? Why do you think we don't reach resolve?
Because everybody wants to be right in his or her own eyes. We want to be right. We don't want to be misunderstood. We want people to see things the way we see them instead of trying to help be understood. We want to be understood instead of trying to understand what it is the other person's feeling and why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And we listen to respond and not listen to hear.
Mm-hmm. Well, why is that? Where would we have received that kind of training or instruction, whether it be in school or from our parents at home or through people in the neighborhood? Where do we learn to listen as well as learn how to express ourselves and listen to not respond and listen to understand? Where do we get that kind of...
Well, sometimes we look at pattern behavior because many times our parents and what we've seen, they've done the same thing. And now that we are, quote unquote, grown, we want to express things the way we feel, and we don't want to feel like we have to be silent. As a child, a lot of times we were told to be silent and seen and not heard, or heard and not seen. But as we become adults, I want to express how I feel, and if this is how I'm feeling, then if you care about me and care about my opinion, then you should listen to that. What you're doing hurts me. What you're doing is distasteful to me, and I should be able to express that. And then it's your turn to respond as if you care. To change it or to help me see why it shouldn't bother me or why it is that you don't care that I feel this way. So that's why we don't come to a pattern of being on the same page. And marriages break up, relationships break up, communities, governments, because we're all selfish to a certain degree. And we want what we want when we want it. And if we don't get it, then we have our other means of pouting or withdrawing that we know the other person wants. Till we get what we want.
And I guess that's... Go ahead.
Piggybacking on that, tone is everything. Because a lot of times when someone comes to you, they're not oftentimes empathetic. They're coming to you wanting to express in such authority and everything. And a lot of times it's not delivered as well. It doesn't come across as well. So a person's tone on how they're trying to, send their message across, it depends on all that, because if you're coming at me on something very aggressive and though you want to get this point across, and that right there itself is going to have me guarded, I'm already, ready in defense mode because of how you presented this thing. So if you want to sit and reason and let's have this conversation, come a little humble, come a little softer, come a little meek, and, don't, like the lady was saying, don't come ready to battle. Just come ready to listen, and let's find some type of resolution to this situation, whatever it could be, whatever it is.
Right.
So,
okay.
He said,
Okay. I do want to ask the same question I asked my other caller. What steps can we take to reach a place like, let's just say, if two people, or if there's a misunderstanding, how do you reach that point in the misunderstanding where you say, hey, let's run this through the universal principle filter, or let's run it through the points of reference filter. Let's do that. How do you reach that point, and how do you get someone to agree to be open with what we find when we run through the filter? Because if you heat up metal and it melts all the way down, gold kind of keeps its form when you burn all the impurities out of it. And I'm thinking of that process when you run whatever disagreement there is through the filter, I guess, or the fire of points of references and universal principles. How do you get a person to be open to what we find? Like, okay, if you find some metal and it shines, and then a person is expecting it to be gold, and then it ends up being, another type of metal. And then how do you get them to say, hey, there's nothing we can do about this. It is what it is. It went through the fire. It went through the process. You can't be upset. How do you get a person's mind to be on that level, to be accepting of what is?
Seafood boil in a bottle of wine.
She says, a seafood boil and a bottle of wine.
She's okay. Well, tell me what time to be there. I'll be there. By the way, I don't think they heard you. She said a seafood boil and a bottle of wine. Okay.
Well, food does tend to make people relax more. A lot of times, a lot of confrontation and a lot of misunderstandings have been softened, I should say, and open to understanding when there's food involved. Or, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's a suggestion. Maybe sometimes give it a little time. If both of you are heated, sometimes you have to allow it to simmer. Not discuss today. Let's revisit it tomorrow, like adults or whatever, and not while we're still heated, as or while the fire flame is still hot. You need to let it cool down for a bit.
Okay. I'm not going to hold you long, and thank you both for being willing to share your time with me. Before you go, I kind of would like to ask your opinion in regards to what I'm doing here. I started with my live stream playing my saxophone, and I definitely will be still doing that. But the idea of bringing awareness to how to resolve conflict is something that I really believe in my heart, and I don't want to waste my time or anyone else's time. I believe it will catch on. I believe people will kind of agree with me in some respects. What is your opinion about me pushing that issue? Because everything that ever became famous, great, or popular, or even, what is the word I'm looking for? Everything that's ever been effective in our society either started out small or started with nobody paying attention, and whoever was pushing that ball just snowballed and got bigger, and it became I guess I'll use the word popular for lack of a better word. But I want to know what your thought is in regards to me taking the mantle of that, not even responsibility, that charge, to bring awareness to how we communicate. What are your thoughts of that? Am I beating a dead horse here?
Well, Travis, this is me. I've been with you for a few weeks, and along with being with you, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and I try to take those principles that you've shared through over the weeks and apply it to my daily living, because I wanted to be heard. You're going to listen to me because I'm a woman, you're a man, and I want my thoughts to be heard. But yet at the same time, we can sing together, but we're not listening. We're not listening. So to take those challenges and apply it and to provide them to the listeners is very informative, because trust me, someone is listening. You may not see it and feel it at the time, but I go to a place whereas it's a small congregation, but yet in this small little congregation, lives are being saved, people are being saved, souls are being delivered and everything. And this congregation have reached over, they say it's gone viral, almost 1 million plus people. So little becomes much What you think is small literally becomes much. So you keep working your craft, you keep operating your perfection, and just trust the plan. Because there's a purpose in everything you think, say, and do. You're an awesome was a saxophonist guy. I mean, you just on doing what you're doing. And time will come. Your time will come. You will reach what needs to be reached. And it's going to come in a way that you don't see it. It's not going to come always to pass. It's not always going to be the way we plan and how we direct it and what way we point. You know, you don't know who's going to come alongside and girdle you and be that one to push you over to that platform. You know, because you're doing something that is reaching. Because, like I said, I have grown over the weeks, and I have learned to. You got me out of my box, my comfort zone. I don't like talking. I don't like listening. I don't like doing a lot of things. But people say I do, you know. But I think I'm shy, but people say I'm not. But that's their opinion. But at the same time, you're awesome. And I'm thankful that I was connected to you to learn and to learn to listen, you know, and to learn to be patient. So I'm proud of you, man. You rock. Keep rolling in this.
I am. There's so many things and when Wednesday comes around, it's like I don't have like a big list of stuff. And I've been reading this one book. One of my friends got me this book, and I'm almost 3/4 done with it. I'll go ahead and announce it. It's "Don't Drop the Mic" by T.D. Jakes.
T.D. Jakes,
yeah,
yeah.
I've been reading that book, and I'm learning a lot from that, and I'm trying to, you know, it's like I am a little aggressive when it comes to getting, you know, everybody's aggressive in their own way. Let me take that back. No, I'm not aggressive. Y'all heard? I am not aggressive. Passionate. I am passionate about what I'm driven by. Not even so much of what I believe, because if I find proof that something is not true, regardless of how I feel about it, I'm gonna try to get on that train to be okay with what is, because I don't want to be a non-practicer of what I'm preaching. But I'm just trying to be humble, and I do believe I am onto something. And thank you for that confirmation. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as much as I'd love to keep talking to y'all, I would like to have you come back. You know, you've been with me a few times, and I appreciate it. You're always helpful. And if the two of you will come back, I was about to say, I was going to say to my audience. If you have a topic or a subject that you'd like for me in particular to address or analyze, I don't mind doing it. TravisBridges2 at AOL.com. That's Travis Bridges and the number 2 at AOL.com. You know, I'm supposed to have that on the screen. You know, I have all this technical ability to do radio, and I'm not even applying it to myself. But that's not where I am right now. I'm just trying to establish a foundation here. But back to my point, the next time we talk, if you think, and I watch your Facebook page, and I see you put some pretty heavy topics out there. Some of those I'd like to sometimes dive in, but sometimes a little fear causes me to, not be so into it. But if you have subjects or topics, I really like the idea of analyzing them. So the next time we talk, or maybe we can schedule for you to be on with me, let's get into something heavy and run it through those filters of universal principles and points of references. And laws or whatnot. So I'm going to give you both an assignment to come up with something, and then we can just have another powwow just like this one.
Absolutely. Really sweet. I really enjoy your program. I enjoy talking with you. Always a pleasure. Always insightful. Always thought-provoking. And it makes you smile. And then also make you go, But that's the kind of person that you are. And it's a gift to the world and a blessing, and hopefully and prayerfully that I believe in time and in season that more people are going to be able to experience that we have had a taste of with what we're doing tonight. And it's just despise out the day of smalls begin. So when you become great, we're going to be riding right there, pushing you and making sure it happens.
I promise. And I'm buying the coffee for the rest of your life. You never buy coffee in my presence.
Well, thank you so much, Travis.
Okay, y'all have a good night. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye. Alrighty then, 2 callers down, and I had 2 and 1 on that one. So thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Moments of motivation with Michelle. She's saying thought-provoking. Linda Chambers is still with me. Kimberly, what did you say? You're deleting messages here? Okay. I guess if you need to take it back, that's fine. Take it back. I'm going to get my other caller on real quick, and then I'm going to get my final caller on. And then, where's my log? What happened to my log? Oh, here it is. Okay. By chance, if you would like to be on, send me an email, travisbridges2@aol.com. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
Okay. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Not bad at all. So, did you finish your workout?
I did.
Okay.
Just a few, just in the nick of time.
Yeah. So it's you and me. I've got you for at least 10 minutes.
Yes.
I do have one more caller I'm going to go to after you. But were you able to listen to the live stream prior to me calling you, or do you need me to fill you in?
No, I was not able to. I listened to it as soon as I got in the car, which is about 3 minutes. So I just heard you kind of wrapping up with the two ladies you were talking with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys were talking. I didn't hear your conversation.
Okay, well, it started out with talking about why we don't reach resolve when we have conflict. And I don't know why I've been moved to talk about this. You know, I have some broadcast experience and some technical experience, and I'm going to beef up my live stream, make it a whole lot spazzier at some point in time. But there's a drive inside of me to open up and just talk about, you know, hearing, listening, paying attention, and being okay with what we hear. So what I was talking with the other two callers is why we don't reach resolve. What are some of the reasons we don't, and how can we find a way to reach that place of running whatever it is we're not clear on through the filters of universal principles, points of references, and either laws, or I don't like to use the term common sense, but there are some things that are just kind of sort of common, you know, that only make sense if you do, or make sense if you don't do. I mean, I know not to stick my foot in the lawnmower when I'm cutting grass. I don't need a law for that, and I don't need the universal principle applies within itself. But, you know, there are some things that, you know, just kind of goes, you know. So the point is, I guess I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked them. What are some reasons we don't reach resolve? Why do people fight and fall out? Why are there wars? Why do people go ahead and break up when they agree to be together forever? You know, I'm not calling anybody out, because we're all guilty of falling short in some kind of way. But, you know, when we know better, we're supposed to do better. And if you can just tell me, what are reasons people are not, well, people don't reach resolve? Just give me a couple of reasons.
I think because people give up. I don't know why. People just give up. People get tired. I think that people also, maybe they don't want the resolve because they're using it as an excuse to get out, whatever that might be, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're talking specifically about a relationship. I'm just saying two neighbors, you know, could be arguing. Two people could be fussing at the gas pump. You know, there's a gas shortage and people are cutting people off at the gas station. You know, how do you know, two people are out at the gas pump saying, you cut me off. No, I was here first. No, you know, how do you say, hey, wait a minute, what really happened, and how can you be okay with what it's going to actually be?
Well, I think that in that situation, or that example that you gave, I think sometimes some people have a need to be right.
One of my other callers said right in their own eyes. But what is right? Right is so subjective. How do you determine? How do you determine what's right? And again, when you have those conflicts, that's why I say running, you know, whatever you're discussing or have an issue with through the filter of the universal principles, then into points of references, and then law, and then just common decency. What is right? I mean, some things go without saying. Okay, it's right that, you know, if two people come to the stop sign, you know, a four-way stop sign, the one who gets there first is the one who goes next. You know, I mean, that's been established. You know, and it's kind of decent and courteous. You know, somebody may come and say, well, no, my car is faster than yours, or I'm in a hurry. But then when there's a wreck, you have to have a point of reference to say, well, let's look at the camera. Okay, well, the red car got here first, and the blue car came up speeding second, and then they crashed because the red car took off and the blue car was in a hurry. So, anyway, how do you get to that point? How do you get to the point of having someone accept what we find in the end of those filters? You understand my question?
I don't know the answer. I kind of understand your question. I think that it boils down to people. I don't know what right is, and like you said, it's a subjective. It also boils down to some people, and this is an exception probably, some people just like to be confrontational for no reason because of their own, whatever emotional stuff they got going on. Not even realizing it. Like, for example, you said about two people at the gas station having a little argument, or not having an argument, maybe one person took the space before the other person was supposed to take the space. Some people be like, that's not a problem. I'll just go to the next one. Some people be like, how dare they? Why would they do that? That's not right. So, there's a variety of reasons. I think when people do stuff that don't make rational sense to the normal person, I think that that is a outward description or something that they may be already going through emotionally, internally. That's how they show it, even though they may not even know it, right? So like if I see somebody cut somebody off, I usually say, oh, or they cut me off. They're in a really bad hurry. There's a lot of stuff going on in their life. I don't get all angry and bent out of shape about it and have all this rage and be bumping my horn and cutting up. Because what exactly is that going to do? Nothing.
Well, I do. Hold on a second. I think when I see that and I blow the horn a little bit, it does make me feel a little cool when I just go, and then go.
Okay, so you're getting something out of it.
Yeah, I get a little something out of it.
But that could be the same reason why people would not have a resolve, because they get something out of it. They get something out of the back and forth. They get something out of not being in control, or making people keep dealing with something that doesn't need to be kept having to continue to be dealt with.
Right.
Some people like to just, people that just like to just keep going, instead of saying, okay, we've come to an impasse. You have your thoughts, I have my thoughts. Well, let's just leave it at that. Everything doesn't have to be resolved, or does it? I don't think so.
Well, maybe not, but like I said, we should all strive for peace. I believe, peace is given to us. We are born with it, and somehow we end up with chaos, on the journey. But we all desire, I don't care whether you're black, white, red, or brown, from here or from there, everybody wants to be at peace. Everybody doesn't want to, so that, yeah, maybe you don't have to reach a resolve, but, being at peace about any kind of encounter is always good. And it's healthy, because we don't need no blood pressures raised over, a long period of time. So, it's healthy.
Absolutely right.
It's healthy to reach some kind of resolve. And no, you don't have to. And some things you do just have to just kind of walk away from. So your answer.
Question, though.
No. So hold that thought. I just want to recap your response to why we don't reach resolve is because some people just like to keep things going. It's just their personality. And I guess you have to rise above that sometimes to say, okay, this isn't a resolvable situation. Sometimes you do just have to walk away, So your response to that question is because people just like to keep stuff going? What is your response as to why we don't reach resolve? It's because people just want to be right.
And people want to be right. That's a big one.
Okay, I didn't want to lose your train of thought. What were you about to say? Your train of thought.
I had a question in regards to that, because this came up just the other day with one of my friends. Was driving with her daughter, and her daughter has like severe road rage. Like, she wasn't even driving, and she's like on the phone. I can hear her going off because somebody cut them off or whatever. And it made me think, I was like, well, why is she so mad? And my friend was like, I don't know. I've been having a conversation with her about telling her not to be getting so upset because she don't know who she's talking to, right? Like from a standpoint of, she might go up to somebody, hump somebody, blow, cut them off in retaliation, or she doesn't know the person that she might be doing something that may retaliate back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the conversation went. But I thought about it a little long, but why do we get so upset when something so little happens like that? To me, that just means you got some other issues. And it doesn't have to be that deep. Some people might say that's the way they are, right?
Right.
But what do you think about that? Why do you think certain things trigger behaviors in people when, for the most part, people will think that will be kind of no big deal?
Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. I recently went through my own self-evaluation, and I know that my childhood was affected by some triggers that I wasn't even aware of. And it took months of me being, in this place of wanting to understand myself and why I responded in certain ways to certain things. And to answer your question, I believe people are like that because there's something that is bothering them that they've never dealt with. Because when you're transparent, or when you're naked, so to speak, or when you are at peace, small things like that really don't bother you. So to answer your question, I think, there are traumas that are just unaddressed, and people are not aware all the time that they're overreacting in common or, minute situations. So there's your answer. I just think people are just not aware, and they don't know, and they haven't done the set. We will go and get our hair and our nails done, and we'll go get our cars beefed up and everything, and we'll get our houses and keep the yard nice and buy some nice clothes and jewelry, but we don't maintain our mind. Some people, we don't go to the gym or work on our body as much as we do. We don't eat the right food sometimes, guilty. But I think, mental health and, brain boot camp, it's very necessary, and we need to check ourselves some. So I think we're just not aware of what our triggers are, and before you know it, they've happened, and we've caused some problems, and we are stressed out, got all kind of issues going on, high blood pressure, heart disease, you name it, are proven to be caused by stress and things that we don't address. So there we go. I'd love to keep you, but I have another caller to get to, unless you have something to say on your way out.
No, I agree with you. I appreciate you responding. Thank you.
Yeah, and yes, and to again reiterate that, I think, when we don't know ourselves, we don't really have a way of knowing why we are the way we are. And that really sometimes will take a good hard knock, or an eye opener. Certain things, some people, come to themselves, or they have a prodigal moment, for different reasons. I think that biblical story about the prodigal son, when he came to himself, he arose and then went back to, I guess, reality. Different things brings different people to those points. So, yeah, we all need to be aware that maybe we need to have some more of those moments, or find out why we respond certain ways. So anyway, thank you again for hanging out with me. I love you, right?
Yes, no problem. My pleasure, sir.
So what day are you on before you go? You're on 53?
I am on, no, is it 52? Wasn't I on 51 yesterday? I look at the calendar today. So I look at the calendar. It's either 52 or 53.
Okay.
It ain't 75.
I know, right? All right, real quick before you go, we're both talking about 75 hard. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but it would be robbery if we didn't at least throw that out there. If I'm going to just say Google 75 hard, 75hard.com for the website. Would you advise anyone listening to at least check and see what that's about? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need. You have a good night. I love you. You take care of yourself, okay?
You too. Thanks,
Okay.
Travis.
My pleasure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Swym Pwym is still moving, and I have just a few more minutes. I'm going to get another caller on. This live stream is about communicating. It's about talking. It's about listening. It's about paying attention. It's about understanding what we hear. It's about understanding if what we're hearing is what's actually being conveyed and how we respond to those things, especially if we are not satisfied or complete with those. How do we run certain circumstances through filters to find a place of woosah? Because everybody wants peace. I don't care who you are. You could be rich, poor, ugly, pretty, fat, skinny, whatever. Everybody wants to be at peace. Nobody wants to be stressed. So finding those ways to de-stress is important. And I think one of the worst ways to have stress is through conflict. And one of the best ways to resolve stress is through those filters that I am hopefully introducing, particularly to you guys and even to myself, because I'm still learning and I'm becoming passionate about it. So with that being said, if you have something you'd like for me to address, or if you'd like to address, please send me an email to travisbridges2@aol.com. That's Travis Bridges and the number 2 in the subject. Just put call me or talk about this and then put your phone number in the body and I'll do just that. Small now, but as she said, I have a feeling that it might catch on. And if it doesn't, then as T.D. Jakes' book said, well, what will happen if it doesn't? Well, it'll lead to what is. So for right now, this is what I've become passionate about, and I'm going to pursue it. Linda Chambers says she totally agrees about something, and I appreciate you hanging in there with me. So I'm going to get on to my next caller, and I'm going to take the next 9 minutes and chit-chat. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, here we go. Hello.
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 How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing, sir?
Not bad at all. Now, I know you want to get your sexy on and talk smooth like my other caller, but could you speak it up just a wee bit for me?
Yes. Is this better?
That's a little better. Let me see if I can make some adjustments here. And it sounds like you're clicking something. What you got going on there?
I don't have anything going on. I'm sitting here just waiting to talk to you.
Okay, well, you know, I'm a little sensitive to sound, and I hear things that the average person won't hear. And I'm a little passionate about hearing extra noise, especially when I'm on live. So pardon me if I get a little touchy about extra stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to my sister all the time, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, everybody says I'm fine except you. And I have to say, who's and I have to say, okay, well, you know, it's me. I'm a little sensitive, and maybe she is going back and forth or turning her head like this here, trying to tell me something from across the room, you know, on the speakerphone. But anyway, how are you?
I am doing well, Travis. How are you doing this evening?
Not bad at all. I've got 8 minutes to give you all I've got, and I think the best of everything comes at the end when you're about to top it off. So if you heard what I was talking about with the other callers, I would like your input on why resolves are not reached in times of conflict.
Well, I think that is a great question that need to be asked in a lot of arenas. I think, number one, foundationally, that many people were not taught conflict resolution skills. And if they don't have that skill set, of course, that becomes the breeding ground for war, the breeding ground for bad relationships, violence, and etc. Number two, as some of your guests have already stated, because so many people want to be right, they want to be the winner. They don't want to lose. And then, so with that being said, then nobody's listening to the other individual to be able to hear what the issue is, where is it coming from, what the problem is, how can we solve this, because there's a fear of not winning. Number three, I feel like both parties have to be willing to deal with the root cause of the conflict, which may not even be the issue that's on the table.
Hold on a second. Let me digest that. Hold on. Let me repeat what you said. The root conflict, the root cause, which may not even be a part of the issue that's on the table, that may lend itself to me talking about going back to some traumas, that we may not even be aware of. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I needed to savor that for a moment. But go ahead.
Right, right. And so, which is going to lead to the next point that I'm going to make. When I say that it may not even be the issue that's on the table. So, man meets a woman, he falls for the woman, or vice versa, and then only to start hitting this wall or these walls that he or she didn't even know or did not know that were present, and only to find out that they were there because of, causing conflict, because of bad relationships, because of unchecked or undealt with trauma from the past. And those root causes are now, causing problems or conflict in this relationship because of stuff that wasn't dealt with before. So when you look at the racial tension, you look at a lot of the violence and stuff that's going on, you look at the divorce rate and all of that stuff, I think it's the cause of things that have happened prior to that were never dealt with. So if you want to interject, you can go ahead, because I did have another point that I wanted to make as well.
Okay, no, I appreciate you going on with that. I guess what I will also ask you is the same thing I asked one of the other. What I'm doing is, I guess it's a passion that came over me, and I know it was a part of what I discovered when I did my homework, my self-evaluation. I went way back, and I found some ugly stuff, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not even embarrassed to admit it. I spent several months just in the dark, under the covers, just kind of crying myself out, seeking and searching for why I am the way I am, and I really did find some answers, thanks to YouTube and thanks to some of my friends who are in the psychology field, who was able to point me to some good literature and some good information that I was able to discover and bring some peace to myself to help me understand me. But I really do think that having that process, it's like, we get a college degree and then we'll put it on the wall and then that'll help validate us. And then, but I really do think we need to have a little badge instead of saying I got a shot today or I voted or something like that. Say, hey, listen, I did a self-evaluation emotional check so that we can be passed, we might need to go through that every few months or years or however long it takes to just find peace, in our lives.
Right.
So anyway, you had another point?
Yes, I was going to say that until we're willing to sit down and confront the root cause of the conflict, there's always going to be conflict. Mm-hmm. So it goes back to what one of a pastor always says, that we can't conquer what we're not willing to confront. And until we're willing to confront, the root cause of, whatever the trauma was, the rape, the molestation, the abuse, the neglect, or whatever it might have been, then, there's not going to be an answer. There's not going to be a resolution, and we're still going to have these problems. So we cannot keep avoiding the conflict. We have to do something, and so we got to be willing to come to the table, sit down and talk as family, as friends, as co-workers, or whoever or wherever the conflict may be. We got to be willing to sit down and talk to resolve the problem. We have to be willing to sit down and listen to one another and acknowledge the fact that, hey, there's this big elephant in the room called conflict, and we need to solve this problem. And then I think that in some situations too, Travis, that we have to refuse to move forward until we deal with whatever this issue is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to go ahead and close on that note. I want to be timely. I kind of sort of wish I could have adjusted the time and saved you, for, or just had a little more time with you. But what that does is set me up to ask you to come back and be my guest again.
I will come back again.
You promise?
I promise.
Cross your heart, pinky swear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Here's my pinky.
Okay. I trust you, and I can't thank you enough for agreeing to be with me at the last moment. I will definitely be in touch so that we can come on again. Maybe you can be my guest next week as the first one, and we can finish, what you were saying, because I know you were about to get hot, and I don't want to miss it. So will you just go ahead and commit to hanging out with me as the first part of the first part of the live stream next Wednesday?
Yes, sir. I'll commit to that.
I got one, y'all. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate. Listen, you have a good night. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you. And until we chat again, you take care of yourself and do me a small favor. And I'm going to tell you along with the rest of my guests. Find somebody that you need to say I love you to, and don't just say it. Okay. Find a way to show
Yes.
it. Will you do that for me?
I will. Yes, sir, I will.
Okay. You take care of yourself and have a great night.
All right. God bless you. Thank you for all that you do, and you have a wonderful night.
You got it. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's another edition of Swym, Pwym. Until next week, as I said, find somebody you need to say I love you to and say it. Do me another small favor. Send me an email to TravisBridges2 and allow me to talk about whatever it is you're thinking or feeling. Because, no, I don't have a degree, and no, I'm nobody famous or popular today. And if I am one day, that's fine. If I'm not, that's okay. I just feel passionate about bringing awareness to how we communicate. I don't like, conflict. And I try to resolve as much as I can through listening, hearing, and being okay with what I find, especially when you run it through the filters of universal principles, points of references, law, and even common decency. So with that being said, have yourself a good night. And until next week, bye.